Hey guys, Kevin here, and today I'm going to be comparing two very popular flashcard apps, Quizlet and Anki. Now, hopefully this video helps you guys decide which app you should use. I know I'm not going to force you into anything, but this is just a video to help you guys make a decision. But basically this video is going to be split into four parts: features and pricing of each app, the interface, organization, and usability of each app, the web and mobile versions of each app, comparing those, and finally a conclusion in which I tell you which one I prefer and which one is probably right for you based on your needs. Okay guys, now let's talk about the features and pricing of each app. Now both of these apps are completely free to use, but they both have their limitations on their free version. So the web and desktop version of Anki is completely free, you have all the features and stuff. But the mobile version is different. On the mobile and Android and iOS version, you have to pay a one-time fee of $25, and then you have it forever. You don't need to worry about anything ever again. Then you get the full features and stuff. But on Quizlet, it's different. On Quizlet, it's also completely free to use, but it has two subscription plans, which include a bunch more features that I think are extremely useful. So there's Quizlet Plus and Quizlet Go. Quizlet Plus includes features like studying offline, night theme, like a dark theme, which I find really nice on the eyes and it looks pretty cool. There's ad-free studying, so you don't have to worry about ads. Upload your own images because you can't really do that in the free version, and I find that kind of annoying. If you don't want to pay, because it's just annoying. But there's also advanced diagrams. You can label diagrams and blur things out, and then that's really good for active recall and stuff. There's also you can also record your custom audio. Record your audio and then create a flashcard based on that. And this Quizlet Go, which just includes some basic features like setting offline, dark theme, ad-free studying. But both of these are really good. So I wouldn't, pay. I wouldn't pay for Quizlet, any of the Quizlet subscriptions, just because you can get them on Anki. But there's a ton of features, that each of them have that the other doesn't. For example, diagrams and images. Yeah, you have that on both, but on Quizlet it's just so much nicer. You can blur things out. And you have you can add arrows and label them and stuff. It's so much better than on Anki, or you have to kind of do it on a third-party app or something like GIMP or some photo editing app or something. That's what I had to do. Now, the spaced repetition algorithm on both of these, spaced repetition is just testing yourself over longer periods of time for long-term learning, which is what Quizlet calls it, long-term learning, which is it's a simpler way to say spaced repetition. But both of these have a fantastic spaced repetition algorithm. Long-term learning, right? So you'll be able to learn things for a longer period of time, with both of these, so it's completely fine. But on Quizlet, you don't have to pay for those features and stuff. Now, let's talk about the different types of flashcard, / games. Now, Anki has different ways to input your answers, just click on it and then you can see the front and back. You can see, and you can click a good, how well you learned it, good, show it again, or great, I don't need to see it for a long period of time. Or there's something where you just type in the answer, but that's all for Anki. Quizlet has more game featured flashcards. There's a ton of games, I don't know them, but I haven't personally used them. You can go check them out for yourself. But there's also other features, for both of them. You can also you can record your audio on Anki. That's something which you have to pay for on Quizlet, but you don't have to pay for on Anki. But there's no game flashcards in Anki that there are in Quizlet. So there's pros and cons of each of them. Okay guys, now let's talk about the interface, organization, and usability of both these apps. Now I think a lot of people will agree with me on this, but Quizlet has a much nicer interface and much prettier UI than Anki. If the developers of Anki are watching this, I think you should really up your interface game, because that will make you, I think, better than Quizlet, or equivalent to Quizlet. You get so much more audience and it's gonna be better for you guys. But Quizlet has a much nicer interfaces, which is why a lot of people go towards Quizlet and compared to Anki, because it doesn't look so good, and it's manageable, but it looks kind of old and outdated. But but now in both of these apps, there's different ways to organize your flashcards, and I think Quizlet does a much better job on this, because in Quizlet you can create a folder. In that folder you can create decks, and it's just so much easier and nicer to do than on Anki, where it's weird. It's just weird, these toggle list things, which is a bit odd, and it's not as intuitive as on Quizlet, where it's actually making real flashcards. And once you create a folder in those decks, you can share those decks with either a class, I know a lot of teachers which use Quizlet classes, they'll share the decks, with they'll share like these whole folders full of like a bunch of decks on Google Classroom or something, and then students will just review it, for a test. That's what I did, and that's what my teachers did. But it's so much harder to do that on Anki, where you probably have to like export. I've never tried it, but you probably have to like export the whole deck somehow, and just not as good, and it's much harder to share and much harder to like organize flashcards than on Quizlet. Also like, getting decks is much easier on Quizlet. We're gonna search up decks, on the website or the app or whatever itself. So much easier, unlike Anki, where you have to actually download decks from the internet, which is just time consuming to search for. Just not as efficient as on Quizlet. Let's talk about the easiness, how easy it is to create decks and cards on both these apps. On to create decks and cards in Quizlet, it's good, but it's not as fast as on Anki, where you can there's a ton of keyboard shortcuts that work really well, and speed of input to create flashcards if you don't have much time and you're just gonna like get it over with is so much nicer and easier on Anki than compared to Quizlet, where you kind of have to like manually do stuff and just slower. So if you really value quick capture, like value time, and you just want to like do it quickly, but you don't really care about prettiness of interface, then Anki's a great choice. But in other like certain areas, Quizlet kind of outshines Anki, interface, organization. But now let's talk about like how easy it is to review the cards on Quizlet and Anki. On both, I talked about this in the previous segment, but both of these apps have their pros and cons on how to review your flashcards. Quizlet has many more options than Anki to review your cards, and it makes it more like a game, which makes it fun for especially like maybe not university students, but more middle and high school, maybe some elementary students, something like that. But both of these have their pros and cons in terms of interface, organization, and usability. But I think both of these are a great option, but really depends on what you're looking for and your needs. Now let's talk about the mobile versions of both these apps. Now for both these apps, it's very similar to the web and desktop versions, but there's some differences. Quizlet, the app looks very similar to the web version, and the UI and stuff is pretty much the same. They're easy to view. There's very intuitive, large icons. Still the same study mode. Still very nice card organization. Deck organization. And it's well designed. In general, it's well designed. Anki, the app is called Anki Droid, a bit of a weird name, but in my personal opinion, the app looks much better than the desktop and web version. It's basic. It's not that cluttered. It shows you card decks easier, pretty easily, and looks nicer. And the organization level on the app is, in my opinion, better than the web and desktop version, which is kind of odd because when you think about it, most apps they have a worse app version, mobile version than on the actual web or desktop version. But it's not that intuitive. The settings and menu options are weird, but overall it's a little bit better than the web and desktop version. If you really want to study flashcards on the go and you really like Anki or something, it's good. But I would still if you really care about UI and stuff, still Quizlet still outshines Anki by a lot. But they're both basically the same. You still do the same. You still have the same features on both. It's really the same, but there's some slight differences. But yeah, in conclusion, both these apps are fantastic. I've personally used both these apps, and they're both really amazing for their own purposes. But in my opinion, I prefer Anki. I prefer Anki more than Quizlet, just because speed of input's faster. I don't care much about the UI and pretty interface and all these game modes. I just care about the classic ones. I like the spaced repetition algorithm better on Anki. It's much simpler than on just click whether you learned it good, you need to look at it again, or it's great and you don't need to see that flashcard again for a long period of time. I like that much better than Quizlet's one. Even though Quizlet is a bit more intuitive and it's nicer, I still prefer Anki, and I think a lot of people agree with me on that. I know like a ton of medical students use Anki to study anatomy, physiology or something, but I've used both, and they're both fantastic. But people who like a prettier interface and care more about game modes and don't really mind paying for some premium features for like diagrams and audio recording, audio recording, in space, like long-term learning, Quizlet is perfect for you. If you really care about looks and design. But if you don't really care about looks and design, and you kind of want all the features that, most of the features that Quizlet offers for free, you don't really want to pay, or if you're fine paying that like one-time fee for the mobile versions of Anki, and you really care about speed of input and how fast you can do things, you don't really care about the organization much, then Anki is perfect for you. In conclusion, both these are amazing, and keep tuned for more videos.